ओम गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादशङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। नमामि गौडपादं च शङ्करं श्रीसुरेश्वरं स्वामिनं सच्चिदानन्दमिन्द्रं तं ज्ञानरूपिणे। ओम नारायण नारायण नारायण। सूत्रभाष्य प्रणेतारौ वेदान्ताब्ज प्रभाकरौ वंदे परस्परात्मानौ बादरायण शंकरौ। ओम नारायण। Today is we had yesterday some holiday because I had to go to Bangalore and come back. So today is Sugama day. Wednesday is Sugama. Yes. We were discussing the avidya. Purvapakshi said one point. एतेन ज्ञानाभाव रूप अज्ञानस्य उपादानत्व अनुपपत्ति चोदनापि निरस्ता। Purvapakshi said that the non-understanding means absence of knowledge. Jnana bhava. This jnana bhava cannot be the cause of, cannot be the material cause of adhyasa. See, this is the Purvapakshi's nature. So Purvapakshi has been talking, as we have seen, has been talking only one thing, that adhyasa is a product. Adhyasa is a product and it needs a material cause, and the material cause is the real adhyasa, real avidya, and jnanam can destroy a material, not an adhyasa. It is a very strange way of talking. A misunderstanding cannot be corrected. See, what he means is, a misunderstanding cannot be corrected by jnanam. Jnanam can only destroy a substance. See, this is a peculiar thing against anubhava, against bhashya and against logic. He says jnanam can destroy something material. Bhashyakara has been telling jnanam can only reveal, it doesn't destroy, doesn't change anything. Doesn't change an existing object, doesn't bring about a new thing. It only just illumines what is there. It is the nature of jnanam, that it only illumines. But here they say, the Purvapakshi says, there should be a material cause for adhyasa, and adhyasa itself is a product, and that material alone can be destroyed by jnanam and nothing else. Jnanam cannot touch anything else except the material. This is their view. Now he is out of many arguments. One argument he says, jnana bhava rupa ajnanasya upadanatva anupapatti chodana. He is just, Siddhanti is referring to his argument and refuting it. What was Purvapakshi's argument? That the jnana bhava, or the absence of knowledge, cannot constitute the material for adhyasa, material cause for adhyasa. So, etena jnana bhava rupa ajnanasya upadanatva anupapatti chodana. This argument also nirasta. This argument is also dismissed, because bhranti andre by adhyasa. See how Siddhanti answers. Adhyasa means you are taking it as a production, as a something substantial. We say adhyasa is synonymous to bhranti. Adhyasa is synonymous to bhranti, means anisike. It appears to be there. You think it is there. It is just a thought. It is a thought. Now he says, Viveka abhavenaiva pratityupapattehe. A misunderstanding is found to be there due to non-understanding. That's all simple. So, a misunderstanding anywhere, you can see, anywhere in life, a misunderstanding is found when there is a non-understanding. That's all. So, in the context of non-understanding, you find a misunderstanding. Now, misunderstanding is not an entity, is not a product of something, a material and all that. This is too much of imagination, unnecessary, superfluous and a complicated imagination. Okay, so Bhranti andre, what do you think of Bhranti? Bhranter hetum vinapi. Bhranti doesn't require a material substance. You find Bhranti viveka abhavenaiva pratityupapattehe. Simply due to non-understanding the fact, a misunderstanding is found. This is a just experience of everybody. Therefore, upadana anapekshanat pratityupapattehe anadyupadana. There is no need for a beginningless material to produce, to modify and produce adhyasa. Your argument doesn't stand. Nacha, ಈಗ next point. Nacha jnana bhavo na jnana shabdarthaha. Next point. ಈಗ next point, he says, jnana abhava is not the ajnanam here, Shankara says, according to him. According to him, just not knowing or non-understanding is not the ajnanam meant. By ajnanam, something positive, something substantial. How they come out of it, I think what an ingenious people they are. It's a very strange thing. It is a very strange thing how they come about this concept of something material alone. Avidya can be something material alone. Avidya can be, I feel they only have just borrowed the Sankhya's prakriya. Sankhya's, they say, Sankhya's say Prakriti consists of three qualities. And it is a real entity other than Atma, and it exists independently other than the Atma, parallel to Atma. So this Prakriti of Sankhya, they have adopted into Vedantic Prakriti. At one place in Sutra Bhashya, you should note it. At one place in Sutra Bhashya, second chapter, first pada. At one place there is one sutra. On that, commenting on that sutra, Shankaracharya says, the Sankhya's Prakriti is nowhere stated in Vedanta. Oh. Now these people, post Shankar writes, Sankhya's Prakriti, they have adopted into Vedanta and they call it as synonymous. This has done a real confusion. Whereas Shankaracharya says clearly, Sankhya's Prakriti nowhere is found in Vedanta. It just doesn't exist in Vedanta. This is what Shankara's view is. It just doesn't exist. Sankhya's Prakriti doesn't exist. They told Sankhya's Prakriti alone modified with a slightly different thing. Slightly. And not only they have adopted Sankhya's Prakriti as a Maya. This is one thing, one mistake. Adopting Sankhya's Prakriti as Maya into Vedanta. Sankhya's Prakriti is different, Maya is different, which Shankara says openly as commenting on one particular sutra. He says this sutra has come only to say this alone, only to say this. How they go against it, it's a very strange, the post Shankara's job. Second point is, first point I repeat, Sankhya's Prakriti they have adopted as Vedanta's Prakriti. And they called it Maya. Okay? They called it Maya, second point. Just by they adopted the same Prakriti and called it a Vedantic Prakriti. and only they gave their own name, that is Maya. And the third point is, this Maya or the Sankhya's Prakriti, they made it as a material cause for Adhyasa. This is the third point. These 3 points are totally non-existing in Vedanta. They are the inventions of post-Shankarites. Against experience, against Bhashya, against logic. Okay. Now, he says Jnana Abhava cannot be Ajnanam. See what they call. Simple absence of knowledge is not Ajnanam at all. Ajnanam must be material alone. See, if Ajnanam is something material, see the simple, another argument which Swamiji has not touched, even Shankaracharya has not touched. I am just touching in another argument. If something material substance, if Prakriti is Ajnanam, Ajnanam is a common experience of all human beings all over the world. All other schools, my argument is this, all other schools, Nyaya, Vaisheshika, Sankhya, Mimamsa, even Dvaita, Vishishtadvaita, all schools of Indian philosophy, they all must have accepted, should have accepted what? If Prakriti is avidya, they all should have accepted, because it is a common experience. If it would have been common experience of everybody, but none of the schools of India or even Europe, nowhere in the world, no school of philosophy has ever accepted avidya is something material. See, this is a new argument which Shankara did not touch, nor even Sachidananda Swamiji. Avidya as a something material substance. No school of philosophy on the earth, except the post-Shankarite Advaitins. None of the schools of philosophy, even the independent thinkers also, like Ramana Maharshi, Aurobindo, etc., none of them have accepted avidya as a something material substance, a cause of adhyasa, a cause of bhranti. Bhranti requires a material, and that material transforms into a misunderstanding or a bhranti. Nobody touched, nowhere it is there. Because simple reason is nobody finds it in one's experience. It is a purely speculated thing. And they also say, I think I said it once before. I am telling again this point. There is one scholar, traditional scholar, recently I saw it in, he was speaking in Sanskrit, a South Indian scholar, speaking on YouTube. I don't want to take the name because it is not, it is disrespect to anybody taking the name of a person. We just say somebody said it, that's enough. So he himself raises a question. How can you say no school of philosophy ever told that avidya is something material? How can katham upapadyate? How can that be tangible? How can that be acceptable? How can that be tenable? He says it is acceptable. It is tenable according to our Siddhanta. If we go by our school of philosophy, this is acceptable. It may not be acceptable according to other schools of philosophy, but it becomes acceptable according to our school of philosophy. See, this is the only answer he has given. Why? Because we have accepted, therefore it is there in our school of philosophy. See, they are making it as another theology. We accept since we accept it is there. They don't accept, therefore it is not there. You mean it just depends upon your acceptance? You like it, therefore you accept it, and he doesn't like it and he doesn't accept it. Just because you accept it becomes a reality. This is a very strange argument. Vedanta has entered into a theology. Oh, the argument they propose is just like another theology only. Because we accept it, therefore it is there. So this is not Vedanta. This is not philosophy. It may be it may make good theology. Okay, theology means only Shraddha Matrena, Shraddha Matra Gamyaha. It can be what should be accepted only on faith, neither logically nor according to experience nor according to tradition. Just it should be accepted on faith. Okay, now he says Jnana Bhavaha na Ajnana Shabdarthaha. Jnana Bhava is not referred by the word Ajnana. because Jnana Bhava doesn't exist according to Purvapakshi. He says Jnana Bhava doesn't exist because in nowhere in Vedanta, Vedanta means we mean Gaudapada, Shankara, Sureshwara, in generally in Upanishads, these things. By the word Ajnanam, the ununderstanding, non-understanding or Jnana Bhava, or in other words, absence of knowledge. By the word Ajnanam, Jnana Bhava is not referred, is not meant. That means Jnana Bhava never refers, the Ajnanam, the word Ajnanam never refers to Jnana Bhava. See, Jnana Bhavo na Ajnana Shabdartaha. See Purvapakshi. Siddhanti says, Bhagavata Bhashyakarenaiva tatra tatra tatha vyavaharat. They say Ajnanam should always mean material. Ajnanam can't be simply absence of knowledge. It can't be simply non-understanding. It must be something substantial, material. For this our Swamiji's reply, you see, Bhagavata Bhashyakarenaiva tatha tatra tatra tatha vyavaharat. Okay. 83, 84. Nor is it true that the word ignorance does not, I am just reading out my translation, denote absence of knowledge, because the Venerable Shankara himself refers to it to be so time and again. For instance, see, Shankaracharya repeatedly in his Prasthanatrayi Bhashya refers to even Jnana Bhava as Ajnanam. And they say Jnana Bhavam cannot be Ajnanam at all. Ajnanam has to be material. It can't be just a simple absence of knowledge. Here he says Bhagavata Bhashyakarenaiva tatra tatra tatha vyavaharat. He referred Jnana Bhava as Ajnanam in several places. One, he gives an example. Two places Shankaracharya, our Sachidananda Swamiji quotes Shankaras, Avidya Viparita Grahakaha Samshayopasthapakaha. Okay. Akshepa. Just a minute, I have my own editing. Okay. Bhagavata Bhashyakare. So, Avidya Viparita Grahakaha. In Gita Bhashya, he says, yes. Avidya is Viparita Grahakaha. Samshayopasthapakaha. Va Agrahanatmako va. Avidya is Viparita Grahanam. Viparita Grahanam is misunderstanding. Samshayopasthapaka is in the form of Samshaya or in the form of not knowing. Agrahanam. Agrahanam word Shankara uses often. And you know what they say Agrahanam? Though Shankaracharya used the word Agrahanam, even Gaudapadacharya uses Agrahanam word. Agrahanam Anyatha Agrahanam. That's all. Even Sureshwaracharya. Now they say Agrahanam Shankaracharya or Gaudapadacharya did not mean absence of knowledge. Though they called it Agrahanam, though they have used the word Agrahanam, they don't mean it. They mean only material substance alone as an avidya. See, open statement, they distort and they imagine their own concept in its place, and they say Shankara didn't mean it and Gaudapada didn't mean it. Okay. So, Agrahanatmakaha, it is simple absence. Okay. Another quotation. Yadi jnana bhavo, yadi samshaya jnanam, yadi viparita jnanam va jnanam uchyate. By the word ajnanam, you may mean absence of knowledge, you may mean a doubt, you may mean a misunderstanding. Either of these, you may mean simple absence of knowledge, you may mean doubt, you may mean misunderstanding by the word ajnanam. You may refer any of these three by the ajnanam, but all the three goes away by jnanam. Sarvam hi tat jnanenaiva nivartyate. All these three goes by jnanam alone. See, what is ajnana? Shankaracharya is clearly stating. Ajnana is in the form of these three. Either simple absence of knowledge, or doubt, or misunderstanding. He never refers that, oh, whether you mean material ajnana. Material ajnana, he never refers to that. He refers to ajnana in the form of these three, and all these three goes away by jnanam. Now they say, you see their argument, Purvapaksha's argument, ajnanam can only be material, and jnanam can remove only material, it can't remove viparita jnanam, it can't remove doubt, it can't remove simple absence of knowledge. Just now Shankaracharya referred three forms of ajnanam. They say none of these three forms can be removed by ajnanam according to them, according to Mula Vidyavadis. Ajnanam cannot be removed. Jnanam can remove none of these things. Absence of knowledge or doubt or this thing. Jnanam can remove directly, mainly the jnanam's target is only material cause. See their argument. Jnanam's target is material cause. These things are secondary. They may go away later. But main thing is jnanam's targets only material avidya. But here you see Shankara says, Yadi jnana bhavaha, this is Brihadaranyaka Bhashya Vakyam. Those who are referring the book can see. Yadi jnana bhavo, yadi samshaya jnanam, yadi viparita jnanam va uchyate ajnanam iti. How beautiful. By ajnanam, whether you mean absence of knowledge or doubt or misunderstanding, sarvam hi tat, all these three go away only by jnanam. All these three go by jnanam. This is Shankara's direct statement. Okay. Iti cha nacha viparita jnanadi vrityatiriktasya jnanasya katakshenapi viksham upalabhyate bhashye. See, other than these three, viparita jnanam, misunderstanding, doubt and non-understanding. Other than these three, now the post-Shankarites say, particularly the Vivaranakara. Vivaranakara, I read it long before when I was in Rishikesh. I was shocked when I read it. He says, the ajnanam should be other than these three. He tries to establish, elaborately discussing it as other than these three. Ajnanam must be other than these three. But Shankaracharya says these three alone is ajnanam. And he says ajnanam must be other than these three. These three are simply products. They can't be called ajnanam. Oh, see how they go. Totally opposite. Simple absence of knowledge, doubt and misunderstanding. Other than these three, they put one more, fourth one. If you refer to Vivaranam is a commentary on Panchapadika. Okay? If you refer to that Vivaranam, he says, I think we should study, those who have patience and time. I think I could teach Panchapadika, Vivaranam, Bhamati, but nobody is interested. And the one process is, you have to be very sincere and serious, regular. Otherwise, in between people, if I teach that, you start taking Purvapaksha as Siddhanta. So people will not be able to see the subtle difference between Purvapaksha and Siddhanti. Therefore, I am afraid to teach that. Those who are seriously listening, I can teach that also. Okay. Now he says, they say, Ajnanam, Samshaya and Viparyaya. Other than these three, they assumed fourth one is a samskara, adhyasa samskara. I don't know where does it exist. When adhyasa is all pervasive anati, how can there be samskara for it? They put it adhyasa as a samskara. Fourth one. And again they say fourth one is also not the ajnanam according to Vedanta. They accept a fifth one called Mula Vidya. Have you ever called adhyasa has a samskara? Bhranti has a samskara, they talk of it. Bhranti having a samskara. And then other than the samskara, the fifth one they call Mula Vidya, a material which is a Prakriti. They call Prakriti as avidya. Okay, that point we'll discuss next one immediately going to come. Now this point we shall conclude. Nacha viparita jnanadi vrityatiriktasya ajnanasya. Other than these three, misunderstanding, doubt and ajnanam, jnana bhava. Other than these three, katakshena pivikshanam upalabhyate bhashye. In the bhashya, you don't find any fourth ajnana other than these three. Other than these three, no other ajnana you find in Bhashya. See the statements. Because you first patiently read the entire Prasthanatraya Bhashya. And they also know. Here is a very strange thing. They also know. When they ask you, they say, yeah, it is not there in Prasthanatraya Bhashya. It is not there, they don't say. You don't find it in Prasthanatraya Bhashya. Because Bhashyakara was only touching those three and he was not touching it. But it is found in Vyakhyanas, they admit it. That means if Vyakhyanakara said, it means as good as Shankara telling it. See, they don't see the difference between Vyakhyanakara and Shankara. If Vyakhyanakara said, means it is as good as Shankara stating it. They don't make distinction between it. Okay, second point is, they say there are certain prakaranas. Prakaranas means a certain individual Vedantic texts attributed to Shankara, like Vivek Chudamani. Vivek Chudamani is a book that is attributed to Shankara. Now they have taken it for granted that Vivek Chudamani is Shankaracharya's. Indisputably they take it. Indisputably means they like it, therefore they took it. But many scholars have refuted it, rejected it. Even among the Mula Vidyavadins also many people rejected Vivek Chudamani as Shankara. See, that means not only on the point of Mula Vidya, not only for the reason of describing Mula Vidya, explaining Mula Vidya in Vivek Chudamani, but leaving aside Mula Vidya also, for many other reasons, they found it is just can't be Shankara's, because they found a discrepancy between Shankara's, original Shankara's and Vivek Chudamani. And if you can see in the tradition also, one more reason, third reason I can tell you, Anandagiri, who is a commentator on Prasthanatraya Bhashyam, I think we can call him as a first commentator on complete Prasthanatraya Bhashyam was Anandagiri. Other people have done partially. Like, his guru, Anandagiri's guru, Prakatartha, Anubhuti Swarupa, he did certain commentaries. I think for 2 or 3 centuries there were only, I think 4 centuries. After Shankaracharya, up to 4.5 centuries. 4.5 or 5 centuries, let us say. 4 to 5 centuries, there were commentaries on only Sutra Bhashya. On Gita, on Upanishads, nobody bothered to write any commentary for 400 years. Sureshwara wrote on Taittariya and Brihadaranyaka. And everybody concentrated on Sutra Bhashya. Upanishads, nobody bothered. Only it is some little bit Sureshwaracharya touched only on 2 Upanishads. And Anandagiri's guru Anubhuti Swarupacharya wrote on Gita and Mandukya. That's all. Other things nobody tried. Nobody attempted. And only it was the Anandagiri was the first Acharya who wrote commentaries on complete Prasthanatraya Bhashya. And also some of the Prakaranas. Among the Prakaranas he wrote on Upadesha Sahasri. That means in his days Upadesha Sahasri was accepted as a Shankaracharya's. Now Anandagiri, who wrote commentaries on all books of Shankaracharya, and still he had a time. You note this point, this is important. Because writing commentary on Prasthanatraya Bhashyam takes a lot of time. And he had time, he spent his time on Brihadaranyaka, Taittariya, Sutra Bhashya, Bhagavad Gita, on all Prasthanatraya Bhashyam, he wrote his commentary. You have to say sub-commentary, because Shankaras, if you call Shankaras as commentary, then you have to call him sub-commentary. Okay, so Anandagiri wrote his sub-commentary on Shankaras on complete Prasthanatraya. Even after writing Prasthanatraya, he had a time to write on Prakaranas also. So only one Prakarana he took it, and he did not write any other Prakarana. And one more interesting thing is, he had so much of time that he wrote commentary on Taittariya Vartika, and Brihadaranya Vartika is a huge one. 10,000 shlokas. On such a huge work of Sureshwaracharya, 10,000 shlokas. It is around 50% of Valmiki Ramayana. It is half of Valmiki Ramayana. Such a big Sureshwaracharya's Brihadaranya Vartika. He wrote commentary on complete Brihadaranya Vartika. Then Anandagiri, who had so much of time to write Sureshwara, he would have written on Prakaranas of Shankara. But it looks that he believed Upadesha Sahasri alone as a Shankaras. He did not write on Vivek Chudamani. In his days, Vivek Chudamani was not believed as Shankaras. That's why he did not write commentary. Now you can't say Anandagiri wrote so many works and there was no time, therefore he passed away and he could not write. You can't say, because after writing complete Prasthanatrayi, after writing one Prakarana on Upadesha Sahasri, still he had plenty of time to write on Vartika. Brihadaranya Vartika and Taittiriya Vartika. Taittiriya Vartika, of course, is a small, but Brihadaranya Vartika consists of 10,000 shlokas. And he had so much of time to write on Brihadaranya Vartika. He could have written if Vivek Chudamani was from Shankaracharya. He did not write. So Vivek Chudamani, there is no commentary until recently, 20th century, there is a commentary on Vivek Chudamani. If Vivek Chudamani was of Shankaras, Anandagiri and somebody would have written commentary on it. Nobody wrote it. You see, nobody wrote commentary on Vivek Chudamani until recent period. 20th century alone you find a commentary on Vivek Chudamani. If it were Shankaracharya's, I am sure Anandagiri would have written, because he wrote in all books of Shankaracharya. Prasthanatraye and Upadesha Sahasri. Still he had time and he did not attempt in any Prakaranas, because he felt none of the Prakaranas are of Shankaras, probably he felt. And he shifted to Vartika only. He shifted to Vartika, he started writing on Vartika, complete Vartika he wrote. But he never penned on Vivek Chudamani. Therefore, this is one more important third argument which I feel proves that Vivek Chudamani was not of Shankaras. It was some later Acharya. It is very good book. It has got certain very good way of presenting Vedanta. Anybody can learn. Even I study even now. Vivek Chudamani has got very beautiful shlokas. I read. You also can read if time permits. We may discuss Vivek Chudamani also, because it touches certain Vedantic points. Beautiful. Sadhakas can study. It is useful. Okay. We shouldn't be prejudiced against Vivek Chudamani. It is useful, but it is not Shankaras. Certain areas it deviates from Shankara. A few points it touches wrongly. Only one. Mula Vidya is one point you all know. Second point is it talks of Nirvikalpa Samadhi as a compulsory for Jnanam. This is also Shankaracharya never touched it. And Nirvikalpa Samadhi as the most necessary, as compulsory, as inevitable for Jnanam. Jnanam is different from Nirvikalpa Samadhi. These 2 points we can say. Other points are there, but these are the 2 important points. It differs from Shankara. Okay. Therefore, here we are discussing nowhere in the Bhashya. From this, I've elaborated, explained all these things. Nowhere in the Prasthanatrayi Bhashya you find avidya as something other than these 3. But the Panchapadika and Vivarana says, other than these 3, 4th one is a samskara, 5th one is a Mula Vidya. Therefore, the 5th one must be there. They establish that way. And he says, Katakshenapi Vikshanam Upalabhyate Bhashye. Katakshena, have you heard this? Have you paid attention to this? Katakshenapi Vikshanam Upalabhyate Bhashye. Katakshenapi andre, how to say that? Kataksha is a beautiful expression in Sanskrit and you can translate it. Katakshepa means not even a remote reference, a casual touching. Not even a casual remote reference also Shankaracharya doesn't make to Mula Vidya in Prasthanatrayi Bhashya. Not only he did not make open reference, but even a remote, casual, indirectly also, remotely also it doesn't refer to Mula Vidya at all. Katakshenapi, that expression is beautiful. Katakshenapi navikshate. Swamiji's Sanskrit is beautiful. Not only Vedanta, even his Sanskrit is beautiful. Even Kataksha andre, while discussing one remote reference, remote and indirect reference means what? While discussing something else, while seriously discussing something else, passingly, just casual touching, passingly, even passingly, casually, a brief touching, a light superficial touching, also he doesn't refer to Mula Vidya. Then where is the question of seriously, openly, directly and openly referring to Mula Vidya? Directly, openly referring is impossible. But even indirectly, passing reference also, passingly while discussing something else, he never refers to passingly. Okay. Howsoever remote reference, casual reference to Mula Vidya also, casual reference also to Mula Vidya is not at all found in Prasthanatrayi Bhashyam. Okay, coming to the next point. Because their arguments, these arguments Swamiji patiently, you may feel bored, same arguments are coming. Not the same argument with a slight modification, with a different context they repeat. Because Swamiji talked to those Mula Vidya Vadins throughout his life. They have been bringing these arguments. Even I faced with them. All these arguments they bring. Therefore, without leaving out any of their arguments, he replied to all their arguments. So this Sugama touches all their arguments repeatedly. They touch. All of them Swamiji touches here. So it may look boring for you, some of them, but some of them, those who want to refer to Mula Vidya Vadins, it will be useful to you. See what type of arguments they bring. Okay, next point. Nacha vacham anadi jadopadanam maya shaktyaadya parabhidanam asteva sammatam bhashyakarasyapi. See, they say, see, anadi jadam. They say, yes, Mula Vidya is acceptable to Bhashya. How can you say? Even now they say, yes, Mula Vidya is there, is there. See how they say? Prakriti, one word they come across. Oh, Prakriti, yes, Mula Vidya is there. Just the referring of the word Prakriti, they take it that Mula Vidya is there. They just don't know what they are talking. So, Anadi Jada Upadana, beginningless, inert, material. See, beginningless, inert material is referred by Maya Shakti by Shankaracharya. See how they say. Inert material, substance. Beginningless, insentient material. This is exactly Sankhya's. Sankhya's call their Pradhanam as insentient, beginningless, insentient material parallel to Atma. This is the Sankhya's. They have just bodily borrowed Sankhya's Prakriya. So, Anadi Jadopadanam Maya Shaktyadya Paravidhanam. This Prakriti, this Mula Vidya is called, according to them, they say this Mula Vidya is called as Maya, another name Shakti. They call Mula Vidya is a Shakti of Paramatma. Mula Vidya, Shakti of Paramatma? Paramatma holds Mula Vidya as his power? Is a very strange thing. Does Paramatma hold Mula Vidya as a power of him? See, this is a confusion of the post Shankarites. Mula Vidya is a power of Paramatma. Paramatma has a power called Mula Vidya. Can Avidya be a power of anybody? Is a strange argument. Is a strange philosophy. Can Avidya be the power of anybody? Can you have Avidya as a power? Avidya is a power of Avidya. So they say Paramatma is invested with the power of, is in possession of a power called Avidya. Avidya is a power of Paramatma. This is confusion. Avidya is of a Jiva. Because Jiva doesn't know Brahman, therefore Avidya belongs to him. How do you say Avidya is a power of Ishvara? It is a Maya, not Avidya. So they mix up this Maya and Avidya and they talk of it. Ignorance is different from power. Power is of Ishvara. Ignorance is of Jiva. See, isn't it? Ignorance is of us. It is something like, I'll just give you a worldly example. A student and teacher. Student doesn't know certain things because just now student has come to the school, he doesn't know, he has to learn many things. So the ignorance belongs to the student, and the teacher has a power to teach and explain to him. Power means he has got some strength, some knowledge, power of knowledge. So teacher has got a power. And now if you say student's ignorance is a teacher's power, teacher has got a power of ignorance with which, can you say that? The teacher has got a power, teacher has the power of ignorance of student. Ignorance of the student is a power of the teacher. Does it make any sense to you? It doesn't make any sense to me. As for me, I can't understand what it means. Student's ignorance is a teacher's power. That means a teacher is wielding the power of the teacher's student's ignorance. Does it make sense to you? But anyway, or at least you should not be confused. I repeat it. Student's ignorance, Vidyarthi's ajnanam, is a teacher's power. Power means he uses it, he wields it. He wields it as a power. Like a weapon, you wield it. Now, can Ishvara wield the power of ignorance of Jiva as his power? Can you write such a prakriya? This is a very strange prakriya of post-Shankarites. Okay. Now, then what is the right way? Maya is Ishvara's. That is true. But not Jiva's power. It is not Jiva's ignorance. That is the Ishvara's power. Ishvara's power. Ishvara has Maya, which appears from the level of avidya. That is a different issue. Okay. But Jiva's ignorance is Ishvara's power. At Ishvara's power is Jiva's ignorance. And that power is a material. First you call it power and they make it a material also. No, they put it that way. It is a material substance having two powers. It is a material substance having two powers. They talk like that. Okay. Now he says, Anadi Jadopadanam. It is a beginningless, insentient and material substance. And the same is called Maya Shakti. You find in Prasthanatrayi Bhashya, all over Maya Shakti. It is a power of Ishvara. It is stated all over there in Prasthanatrayi Bhashya. Then how can you say that avidya is not stated? Maya is stated. The same thing is avidya we are talking. Oh, this is the misunderstanding. Maya Shaktya Dhyaparabidanam Asteva Sammatam Bhashakara. So Bhashakara has accepted Maya. That means he accepted avidya. That's what they say. Now, Swamiji's reply is, Mayaya avidya kalpitatvenaiva nirdeshat bhashye. True, but Maya, Shankaracharya calls Maya is Namarupa is called Maya. Okay? Maya is Namarupa. The Namarupa appearance is called Maya. And that Maya is avidya kalpita. It appears due to misunderstanding. So, Shankaracharya has been touching, repeatedly telling Maya is appearing due to misunderstanding. Or it is the appearance within the misunderstanding. And that appearance of Namarupa is calling Maya. This you have missed it. Shankaracharya touches in his Prasthanatrayi Bhashya Maya, no doubt. But he talks of Maya as due to misunderstanding. Okay. Mayayah avidya kalpitatvenaiva nirdeshas bhashye. But he did not say Maya is synonymous to avidya and Maya is an avidya to Jiva and power of Ishvara. See, they put it, Maya has got a two. It is a same Maya is ignorance of Jiva and power of Ishvara. Ignorance of Jiva and power of Ishvara, what is this? Somebody's ignorance becomes somebody's power. See, somebody's ignorance becomes like a student's ignorance becomes a power of teacher. Power of teacher is a teacher, student's ignorance. They put it that way. It's a very peculiar prakriya. You don't find it Prasthanatrayi Bhashyam. Okay. Mayayah avidya kalpitatvenaiva nirdeshat bhashye. In Bhashya, Maya is Namarupa Pratiti, apparent Namarupa. So this apparent Namarupa is presented in Prasthanatrayi Bhashyam as appearing due to misunderstanding. It is an appearance within misunderstanding. Okay, now Swamiji gives a quotation of Bhashyakara from the Sutra Bhashya. Sarvajnasya Ishwarasya Atmabhute iva avidya kalpite Namarupe Tatvanyattvabhyam nirvachaniye Samsara prapancha bijabhute Sarvajnasya Ishwarasya Maya Shaktihi Prakrutihi iti cha Shrutismrityorupalabhyete. See how beautiful statement. This statement is clinches the issue of what is Maya and what is avidya. Okay. Adhyaso avidya iti in Adhyasa Bhashya told. Then what is Maya here? What is Maya when you ask a question? You find this is a very clean and clear-cut definition about Maya here in Sutra Bhashya 2.1.14. 2.1.14. Okay. Now regarding Adhyasa, Avidya, clearly in Adhyasa Bhashya you find Adhyaso avidya tametamevam lakshanam adhyasam Pandita avidyeti manyante. Adhyaso is avidya is clearly stated in Adhyasa Bhashya. Then what is Maya is clearly stated here in 2.1.14. The LA Sutra. Tadananyatvam arambhana shabdadibhyaha. Tadananyatvam arambhana shabdadibhyaha. On this sutra, there is an elaborate bhashya of pages goes on. In that thing, at one point, Shankaracharya says, Sarvajnasya Ishwarasya Atmabhute iva avidya kalpite Namarupe Tattva Anyatvabhyam nirvachaniye Samsara prapancha bijabhute Sarvajnasya Ishwarasya Maya Shaktihi Prakrutihi iti cha Shrutismrityorupalabhyete. Okay. Namarupa. What is Maya? He defines, you see. Maya is defined here in very clear terms by Shankaracharya himself. Namarupa is Maya. Okay. And to help the student to understand better, the same Namarupa is qualified, a little more explained. Namarupa, which is anirvachaniya. First thing is it is avidya kalpita. Namarupa is avidya kalpita. So avidya is bhranti or adhyasa. So from the standpoint of bhranti and adhyasa, you find Namarupa. Namarupa is entire world. Namarupa means what? Entire world. The entire appearance of the entire world is called Namarupa. The entire world appearance of because the world is only an appearance. The entire world, when does it appear? When you are under avidya, you see the world. Okay? The sighting of the world, appearance of the world under adhyasa, under avidya. During avidya or under avidya, you start perceiving the world. Okay? That appearance of the world during adhyasa. How does it appear? All the appearance can be reduced to two, nama and rupa, name and form. The entire world can be reduced, the entire appearance can be reduced into two, and nama and rupa. So the nama rupa is an appearance under the avidya. See how beautifully he says. Appearance of nama rupa under avidya. And this nama rupa, how does it appear? Sarvajnasya atmabhute iva. This Nama Rupa appears as if it is inseparable from Ishvara. That means it doesn't appear as separate from Ishvara. That's what he means. The Nama Rupa means the entire world, the entire waking state. Nama Rupa is a world. World means entire waking state. How does the entire waking state appear? See. You see the entire waking state under misunderstanding, under adhyasa. Means when you are under adhyasa, under misunderstanding, you see the entire waking state. Waking state means entire the waking world. But how does it appear? The entire waking state appears in the consciousness. How does it appear? Tattva anyatvabhya Ishwarasya atmabhute eva. as if it is one with the consciousness. It is a part of the consciousness as if it is belonging to the consciousness. Entire wakeful consciousness. Sarvagnya Ishvara means who is Sarvagnya Ishvara? Because this Vakya is very beautiful. This Vakyam, this statement of Shankaracharya explaining what is Maya. Okay? Sarvajnasya Ishvarasya Atmabhuteiva. Sarvagnya Ishvara, who is he? Sakshi is Sarvagnya Ishvara. The entire wakeful consciousness is Sarvagnya Ishvara. And of Sarvagnya Ishvara means the entire wakeful consciousness. Atmabhuteiva Vidya Kalpite. These Namarupas appear as inseparable from the wakeful consciousness. You see the waking world or the waking state. How does the waking state appear to the wakeful consciousness, to the consciousness? Wakeful means consciousness only. How does the waking state appear? How is the waking state related to waking consciousness? Waking state, how is the waking state related to consciousness? Let us take the whole consciousness. I repeat, how is the waking state related to the entire consciousness? How is it related? It is a form of consciousness. Like water appears in a wave form, water appears in an ocean form. Ocean is a form of water, isn't it? Water itself doesn't have a fixed form. When it appears as an ocean, it appears as a form. Similarly, consciousness, when it is appearing in a particular form, that is called a state. You see the difference between consciousness and the waking state? Consciousness and the waking state. Consciousness is its reality, its real nature. When it appears as a state. Therefore, state is only like a wave of a water. Wave of a water. Appearance, the water, the way the water appears is called wave. The way the water appears is called wave, is called not only wave, it's called a lake. You may call it a lake or a tank or a sea or an ocean, sea or ocean. The way water appears to you, you are calling it as a sea. Sea is a particular shape, particular way of appearance. Okay? Sea is a particular way of appearance of water. River is a way the water appears. What is lake? Lake is something, the way the water appears to you is called a lake. Okay. Lake is only a way of appearance. Water is its originality, its original nature. Similarly, consciousness appears to you from the waking standpoint in a particular way. That is as a waking state. So, waking state is an appearance of consciousness. Therefore, Sarvajnasya Atmabhute Iva. And what it appears, it doesn't appear away from consciousness. Atmabhute Iva Vidya Kalpite. When you are in avidya, that means when you are in avidya drishti, when you are under ignorance, you find the consciousness as appearing as a state. When you are under consciousness, you see the consciousness not as a consciousness. You see the consciousness as appearing as a state. And that state which appears, state means the whole world. The state that which appears, state appears means which one appears as a state? It is the consciousness that appears as a state under ignorance. When you are under ignorance, it is the consciousness that appears as a state, and that state also is neither one with consciousness nor separate from consciousness, independent of consciousness. The waking state is neither, you can call waking state neither the consciousness itself, because in the pure consciousness there is no state. In the pure consciousness, in the essential nature of consciousness, there is no state. Okay, do you mean state is something different from consciousness? No, it can't be different from consciousness. Different from witnessing consciousness. The whole waking state is neither one with consciousness, because it looks something little more than consciousness. It appears something little more than, it appears as if it is something more than consciousness. If it is more than consciousness, do you mean it is independent of, separate from consciousness? No, again you can't say it is separate. It is neither totally independent of consciousness, nor it is the very nature of consciousness. It is an appearance of consciousness. Okay, that is Maya. Under ignorance, you find the consciousness appearing as a state. Therefore, that state, Tattva Nyatvaabhyam Nirvachaniye, Samsara Prapancha Bijabhute. Now this is called the waking state or the waking world. This waking world is Namarupa. And this Namarupa, when you go to deep sleep, what happens to the waking state? Whole world, what happens to them? It doesn't appear. But again, when you come to waking, again it appears. So the Namarupa world, the waking state, during its non-appearance in deep sleep, you think that it is just tentatively, it has what you say, hidden. It is hidden. Or you can say it has shrunk. It has shrunk into, it has become unmanifest. Let us say unmanifest. It is an unmanifest. That unmanifest of the entire world is called Maya. Samsara Prapancha Bija Bhute. It is the Bija, it is an unmanifested condition of the entire waking state or entire world. When you are in deep sleep, you think that the waking state has disappeared, has become unmanifest, again it will come back. So you think deep sleep is a state where waking state is tentatively dissolved into it. Tentatively resolved into it, and again it will come back. So that Sushupti state is seen as a tentative unmanifest of the waking state. You are seeing deep sleep as a state where the waking world has tentatively disappeared. But it is there. It is an unmanifest state. So that is called Samsara Prapancha Bija Bhute Sarvajnasya Ishwarasya. That is called Ishvara's Maya, Shakti and Prakriti. And that Sushupti seen as an unmanifested state of the world. Sushupti seen as an unmanifested state of the world is called Maya. You understand? Maya, Shakti, Prakriti, iti cha Shruti Smrityor Upalabhyete. All the Shruti, that means Upanishads and the Veda, and also Smriti, Bhagavad Gita, Mahabharata, Adi, they talk of Maya as this. Okay, what is Maya? He says this thing. Tadevacha. Now Vartikakara. Swamiji is quoting Vartikakara statement, Sureshwara statement. He also tells the same thing. What is Maya and what is Avidya? Okay, but this time is up. I think it is 1 hour, nearly 1 hour. So we'll discuss this thing in the next class. So how Maya is, I'll just say in 1 or 2 statements and close it. Okay, concluding. Maya is the way consciousness appears, the state. It appears as a state. The appearance of a state, consciousness appearing as a state, is Namarupa. And that Namarupa is neither the pure consciousness nor independent of consciousness. It appears within consciousness but not independent of consciousness. That is called Namarupa Jagat. And this Namarupa Jagat during deep sleep appears as tentatively unmanifest. And that unmanifest state of the entire waking state is called Maya. Because when the world itself is an appearance under Avidya, then unmanifest is also appearance under Avidya. Assumption is under Avidya. See, just as the world is an appearance under ignorance, its unmanifest state is also under ignorance alone. Therefore, Maya is an appearance under ignorance. Maya is an appearance under ignorance. Itself doesn't exist independent. So, under the appearance, the way Paramatma appears under ignorance, that is Maya. Okay. Therefore, we'll discuss more this thing in the next class. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om Tat Sat.